Good evening. What is up, Razorback Nation? We are coming to you with this episode. No episode yesterday, but also what a game and performance from Gage Wood in the elimination game today. Before we dive into all that, we got to talk about Razor Pigs, Arkansas's very own local brand that is our lovely sponsors over here at Hogs on the Hill. Razor Pigs looking good, never felt so fun. Razor Pigs is the Arkansas-born brand, bringing some serious style to the golf court, the tailgate, and everywhere in between, even the Men's College World Series. From the high-quality polos and head-turning hats, they've got what you need to rep the natural state with pride. Founded right here at home and run by a Razorback-loving family, Razor Pigs is where comfort meets cool. So go hog wild and shop Razor Pigs today at razorpigs.us. Fantastic stuff from them. And, man, what a game today. Gage Wood, that's all that needs to be said about today's game. He comes out, throws lights out. I was talking to people today, and I said, if Gage Wood could just give us 7, I'll be happy with 7 and 1 reliever. That'll keep our bullpen nice and ready to go for, the game tomorrow. We, getting the win today. And what does Gage Wood come out and do? Comes out and throws a complete game, no-hitter, and just kind of shocks the sports world with something that hasn't been done since 1960.
Yeah, dude. I was sitting there, watching it on my phone the last inning, and whenever he hit that dude, like, first of all, I'm going to take that call every single day, but I don't know how, as an ump, you make that call at that time. The dude who put his arm down. I don't know. It's just, I wouldn't have made the call, but I'll take it. I thought maybe he wasn't going to get it done because he was kind of, getting a little bit, fast and loose with that curveball and anything that was, off speed. And, but no, dude, I literally jumped from my desk, pushed my chair as hard. It was just hard. And it went across the room. And I'm standing there with my arms up like this, and not a single soul was looking at me. I was I'm just over here celebrating by myself, and no one on my floor was even paying attention. But yeah, no, it was amazing to see live. It's one of those things hey, do you remember where you were when, X happened? Do you remember where you were whenever the 4th and 25 happened for Arkansas at Ole Miss? Do you remember where you were whenever the Hogs won the national championship? This is one of those moments, and we got to see that today, and it's amazing. It's a very cool thing to see. What I loved more than anything though was Gage Wood's reaction after it, because one of the things he said was job's not done. As soon as they started attacking him, he's yelling, job's not done, job's not done. And then, after the whole entire thing, he's getting interviewed by the SEC network or ESPN, someone, and they asked, they're with all this emotions, first time this has happened since 1960. How are you feeling? Explain us the emotions you're going through. And he said, I shouldn't have hit that dude. And that's about it. I'm like, dude, that's cold. He's a cold dude. So I'm super hyped about it.
Yeah, it's crazy because if you go back and watch it, it's I saw one comment. It was he was a shoelace away from a perfect game.
Yeah,
quite literally before. And so that would be cool and everything, but still, what he done today was still a major achievement. And that still can't be shortchanged. It's I had somebody see some comments today they're like, well, it was just Murray State. I don't care who you're playing, to throw a complete game on top of a no-hitter regardless of who you're playing, it doesn't matter. That's still
Yeah,
a hard thing to do
it's just the Murray State that's averaged 10 runs a game
in the postseason. Yeah,
against Ole Miss, Georgia Tech, and Duke. Yeah, okay, it's just Murray State. Yeah, give me a break.
right.
They're a great offense. They've been a great offense this entire postseason. I mean, did
100%.
Arkansas put up like 12 runs against Ole Miss? No, they put up like 3 in the SEC tournament. So what he did was amazing. There's no way to shortchange it.
Yeah, it's like Transplant Texans said here. Gage Wood for the logo, for the win, for the College World Series record books, 100%. And Transplant Texans said historically this season, the Hogs do not win games when they score less than 5 runs. Gage Wood single-handedly carried the Hogs to the win on limited bat support. Gotta love Gage Wood. Does anyone match his aura when he is in this game? He wants that natty, and it showed.
Yeah. Man, I just don't. I mean, we can talk about the Bass in a second because that's it's a little worrisome when you're getting down the stretch like this. But let's just talk about how big not only like it is for him and like historically for Arkansas and all that stuff, and for the game itself, but for Arkansas's chances going forward, him saving an arm from the bullpen is one of the biggest things that he did. Like,
it's huge.
Bar none. It's huge because think about it. Root didn't go that long. Geckel, I mean, if it came down to it and it's that game is at 7, right? Like if we played, LSU or UCLA at the
game
end.
tomorrow's at 6.
No. Like, so we win tomorrow and then we go and we win the next game after that. In the last, I don't remember how many games that is. It's 1, 2,
I get what you're saying now. If it comes
5.
down to it and you just
to the very last game, I mean, you could use any of those 4 of that pitch yesterday, right? We will pitch a few of them before the end of this the opening round, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So it's huge. It's massive.
Because then on top of that, you look at guys that haven't pitched just running through your bullpen. You've got Parker Coyle, Will McIntyre, Tate McGuire. Gibbler could even come back again. You got Beidelshees. You got Aiden Jimenez. You've got a plethora of guys that haven't pitched or have limited pitches. Christian Fouch, very limited inning, pitches yesterday as well. So
did you already say Bybee? Did Bybee pitch yesterday?
Ben Bybee, Dylan Carter. I just named off easily about 8 guys there that on any given day can come out and give you 2 to 3 innings. I would suspect tomorrow, depending on the matchup, you're probably starting Beidelshees or Jimenez, one of those 2. Hopefully they can come in and give you 4 to 5, and then maybe you use 1 to 2 relievers in that one. But yeah, that's just, saves an arm for the rest of these next 3 games. And then, Wood, it's Monday. So if we do make it to the actual College World Series Finals series, he's back in the rotation for his, normal game 2 start, if you will. So
yeah, I can't even describe how massive it is, but yeah, so like looking forward though, before we get onto the bats, because I just we kind of threw it out for a second there before we hopped on, but I mean, you got LSU and UCLA going right now. I haven't even checked the score on it.
It's actually in a weather delay.
Is it rain? Really? It looks so nice up there whenever the Hogs were playing. So
ironic.
Yeah. Anyway,
at
so
the delay,
we both
LSU leads 5-3.
okay.
In the I forgot, it doesn't say where they delayed at. It's in the top of the 4th. It was where the delay was at.
Okay. So You and I both were talking about who we would rather play next, and we were both like, "Yeah, we'd rather play LSU once and have to beat them once than to play them, and have to beat them twice." But I mean, if they keep going the way they are, maybe that's not the case. Still, I don't know, man. It's just with the depth they have at pitching, you gotta think that they have a shot no matter who they play. Now the bats have to start getting ready, get back up to where they were. Um, to go out there and get like I think it was how many hits did they have? 10 hits
Today, let's see. Yeah, we had 10 hits today.
10 hits, and then you get 3 runs out of it. That's that's not good.
9 left on base.
Yeah. They've got to get that clutch streak back, right? They're hitting well, they're just not hitting timely. And
right.
that's what they've been
that's
doing.
the key.
Yeah. You just got to do it. I don't know. It's just one of those things that you have to have the feel for, and it's almost a luck thing too. Arkansas just got kind of unlucky with some of the stuff, their outs and stuff like that. Plus that their starting pitcher, he had some good stuff. A lot of movement, a lot of he didn't have anything like super, fast. I mean, I think the fastest thing he threw was like 92 or something like that. But he just had a curveball and that was really good and a slider that was really good. And Arkansas just has trouble hitting those. It hasn't been as evident as it has been the last 2 games. I don't know why they're choosing right now to be just like, oh, we can't hit anything that's not a fastball. But they just, I think they still can, right? Especially against like a UCLA that's going to be burning through 2 starting pitchers already. If they play UCLA, I just don't see how UCLA beats them with their third day guy. But we'll have to see. I don't know, man. It's just they're just right there on the precipice of being like really, really good. And I'm just hoping with all like everything that I can that they don't screw this up because they are so freaking good. They're just that close to making it.
Right. And that's how I was watching the game on Saturday. I was just like, of course the bats decided to go cold in one of the most important moments of the season. But to Pigpen's point here in this comment, he said, love the aggressiveness by Dave, stealing bases, going 4 or 5 on the bases. You're stealing the bags today and bunting. He said, it sucks that it's a do or die situation in Omaha to see more of that. But, that's nice to see here. And they even asked in the press conference, Davlon, about that. And he said, we know how big this park is. And, you kind of have to play your game a little bit differently. Yes, you can still hit balls out. Reese Robinette did that on Saturday, but it's not going to be as frequent as what Arkansas is used to at Baum-Walker or, in some other ballparks. It's a deeper ballpark. The wind's blowing in a lot of the time. So you're going to have to play more of that small ball like we've talked about where you see them hitting singles, but also stealing the bags, laying down bunts. That's going to be critical going forward because you're going to have to score those runs any way you can. And, in that timely hitting, it's going to have to come. And, I think that's something we're seeing. Hopefully Saturday was by far the worst. Today's getting a little bit better, and hopefully it's a gradual improvement game after game, which would be ideal. Like Transplant Texas said, wind has not been blowing favorably for home runs. Wind will change from south, southeast to northeast, could slightly be more favorable for long ball. Hogs must lean into more small ball for continued success. Exactly what we just outlined there, and that's what it's going to take. And it's going to take some of these guys coming in and being able to, do more. I mean, look at the order today. Davlon 2 hits, Aloy 2 hits, Helfrich with 1, Robinette with 1, and what a day at the plate for JT. 4 hits today.
Yeah, big stuff. The one thing that I would say, I just lost that point. to come back to it. But playing the small ball. So a lot of that, they got a lot of hits too, right? But at the same time, a lot of those scoring opportunities, the reason why the runner in scoring position is so low, because it was like the last time I checked, they were like two for 9 in like the 7th or 8th inning. Just terrible stuff. But a lot of that was because of that small ball. They were being super, super aggressive, like Pigpen was saying, and manufacturing those, runners and scoring position opportunities, right? And then they just couldn't get that next hit because they would do it with no outs with 1 out, and they just couldn't capitalize on it. And that's what they got to do. You got to go out there, and whenever that happens, you got to hit. That's it. There's not a whole lot of stuff that goes into it. You just got to hit. And the one thing I don't really like, and he's done it a few times this season, and he did it, and it was the last time they tried to steal a base, I think, where they try to steal with 2 outs. I was just like, I just don't understand why you do that. And especially in a game like this, when you need that, it's kind of like bunting with 3 out or with 2 outs. It just doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, I love the aggression too. So I hope we see more of that, and maybe that's just going to give them in a rhythm because all they need is 1 good hit whenever they load the bases or get a runner on 3rd and 2nd. This 1 good hit and you got 2 runs, and then you're just snowballing from there. So hopefully they're almost at that point where they can get that clutch gene back, but hopefully it happens this next game.
Yeah, and that's going to be big. Hopefully we'll see what happens tomorrow. Who knows what the winds are going to do day by day, but Transplant Texan said here, showers are also in the forecast tomorrow from 4 to 9. May need to use multiple arms if there's potential delays. Wood performance means that even more. Wood's performance means even more if that does happen. You agree because we've seen how many times you have a delay, and whoever the pitcher was pitching at that time, even though he might not have thrown a lot, he's not coming back out because you're not going to re-warm up a guy and risk potential injury of warming up a guy twice and bringing him back out. So that's going to be interesting to see. I mean, you look at the numbers for today: 2 for 4 for Davlon, scoring a run, 1 RBI, walked once. Aloy, 2 for 5 with that big RBI. Maxwell 0 for 3. Diggs came in 0 for 1. Helfrich 1 for 3. Kozel, Cahillo, Iredale all 0 for today. Robnett 1 for 4 with a run scored, and then Thomas JT 4 for 4 with a run scored. So you're gonna have to have some of these guys. Like it just seems like Iredale's been in the longest streak for he's had a game every now and then he'll get a base knock or something like that, and then Cahillo as well. Those 2 guys have got to get going. At some point, it's crazy to me that they've had this bad of a stretch where it just seems like they can't hit or see it for anything. Where's that Cahillo that was earlier in the season seeing the baseball like a beach ball and just blasting, at bat after at bat and putting the ball in play and hitting all those home runs? Right now the scouting report for him is throw him a breaking ball or a slider and he's going to swing at it and miss every time.
Yeah, and I don't know what the approach was today, but it just felt like a lot of these guys took a first pitch right down the middle. Almost every at bat, everyone's starting off behind, and I don't quite understand that. But also, I don't coach baseball or play baseball, so it's just my layman's mind thinking. But at the same time, whenever you get to like Cahillo, it just doesn't look like he has the same flame that he did at the beginning of the season. And I don't know what it is. Maybe he's just a little bit down and out about something. But if I'm Coach Van Horn or maybe his brother, I'm like, dude, Get up. You know what you can do. You saw what you did last time. Just go out there and play your ball, play your game. And then Iredale, I don't know what the heck's up with him. I mean, body language is a little weird too whenever he's up at the plate. It just doesn't, I don't want to say he's given up, but it just doesn't look like he's like all that enthused to be there sometimes, if that makes sense.
And with Iredale, what I noticed too is, his approach, he's very patient and, he draws a lot of walks, but also I feel like that if you, on the flip side, that could be a detriment because he's being too patient and he's getting some balls, like you said, right down the chute that, he's being patient that it could be slightly on edge and they may be called a ball, but it's something if you can make contact with, it's going to be a, big hit. And so it's like, I get you're being, patient at the plate and waiting for the right pitch, but also you got to swing the bat more too. It's not going to do you any good to stand there and, hopefully, they get, because the odds of them leaving you something right across the plate to hit, unless it's just a mistake or, the pitcher just messes up, you're going to get those pitches that, you can draw a walk majority of the time, but you also, a walk's great. You get a guy on base, but also I'd rather have some hits too. So,
right. Like I feel like if he were like ahead in the count, I'm totally fine with his own, right?
Right. But if he knows, drop to 0-2, 0-1 in the count, like,
I mean, just expand that, dude. Like, if you think it's even close, swing and try to make contact, because the more that pitcher, tries to paint the corners with it, if you keep fouling it off, they're going to send one down in the middle, or they're going to send it way off, way off the plate. And
they're going to try to keep expanding, or they're going to go right back inside, and then there's your opportunity.
Plus, you're burning pitches, and I've thought about this the whole time. Like that pitcher's going to wear out faster than you are, like as a team, right? You just go out there and you make your pitcher throw, 6, 7, 8, 9 pitches to you per batter in each inning. I mean, it doesn't matter if you go 3 and out each time. If you're making him, jump up his pitch count like that, he's not going to last very long. So it's just like if you get behind in the count, expand that zone and swing at everything that's close. I don't know.
Yeah, Transplant Texan said here, Thomas came through clutch and as the 9 hitter. Him and Davlon provided base runners for the top of the lineup to bring home. Hard to see batters stranded from lack of production. And I agree. It's like you have, guys like Thomas and Davlon get on base. You have Aloy, who hadn't been in too bad of a slump, but there's been some times where he struggled. But then, you have Maxwell 0 for 3 today. And, guys like that, that's your sweet spot in the order where you're expected to get hits and drive runners home in that spot of that, 3, 4, 5 spot that, that's supposed to be the little sweet spot of your order where you can drive in guys. And that's just not happening right now. And hopefully, like you said, today is a little bit better. Hopefully tomorrow's even better. I saw somebody half jokingly like, well, maybe they shouldn't have went golfing on one of their off days and threw off their swing. But I was like, realistically, how much does that actually, mess with a guy's swing?
It's like maybe that guy shouldn't have, ate with a fork this day because that movement threw off his pitching motion. Like that's stupid. But yeah, no, they I think they can do it. I think the lights were a little bit too big, maybe. And it just like I had a buddy who was texting me when they played LSU. He's like, dude, they look like they're playing scared. They're just not, being aggressive at the plate and, this, that, and the other. And then whenever they get in a bind, they think they have to be overly aggressive and then they swing at, pitches in the ground or pitches at their face, stuff like that. And I'm like, well, I mean, that kind of makes sense. And you kind of see it, a little bit with like Kojal. Before this, he was out, he was probably one of the best hitters on the team or one of the hottest hitters on the team. And now he's kind of just like, he's not doing super good. And I think maybe just like being home and having all this expectation on him, being a little bit nervous. I think that might be affecting them. But 3 games in, you should expect that to be gone, right? I mean, this is me being hopeful at the same time, but you guys have gone through 2 games. You know what to expect. You know what the crowds are going to be like. You know what this ballpark is like. Just go out there, play your game, and if you play your game, they're going to win, basically.
Right. And I will say, as much as it kills me to say it too, you got to give Cade Anderson from LSU props.
Yeah.
Man's going to be a top 5 pick for a reason. But, at the end of the day, we hit off of him when we played him in LSU. So it's not like it's just some incredible stuff that you can't absolutely hit. Yes, he's a great pitcher. He's going to be a top 5 pick, all that. But, once, twice, once you're getting 2, 3 times through the order, ideally you'd think you'd have a better idea. And, Silva for Murray State today went 6, gave up 6 hits in the 6 innings. So hopefully they're seeing the ball better, adjusting to, like you said, maybe the ballpark, the moment, whatever it may be. I know all these guys still have that fire that, as Root and some of those guys said before the first game, they want to win it for Dave. So hopefully they keep that mentality. They keep continuing to be more confident at the plate. Like Transplant Texan said, it was good to see Vahiva get a hit today and timely at that, knocking in an RBI. Right. So, that's going to be key going forward here. I think these guys got to start seeing the plate better. And then, let's look at it hypothetically here with LSU UCLA. More than likely tomorrow you're starting, depending on the matchups, Battleshees or Jimenez would be my guess. It's one of those 2 guys who's going to get the start.
Right.
Which one it is, I think it probably depends on who you play.
Yeah. Because Jimenez was doing good against LSU the first time. Right? It's just the reason why he was pulled is because of that weather delay. Remember?
Well, the game that he was pulled in the weather delay was A&M. Like in the middle where he came in and then we had the weather delay and he didn't come back out.
Maybe that was, yeah. So how did he pitch against LSU? I'll look that up.
Against LSU in game 3, he went an inning and a third, allowed 3 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts on 30 pitches.
I don't know why I keep thinking that was the.
And then he also pitched 1/3 of an inning in game 1, gave up 2 hits, 2 runs,
right,
2 walks, and a strikeout on 23 pitches. So it did not do well. Game 1.
Yeah, so we'll see, but they
more than likely
if stuff starts to go wrong, they have enough to, keep a short leash on these guys. So.
Right, because it's like I said a while ago, you look at it and you go start looking down the, your roster for your bullpen. Another guy I didn't mention, you got Steele Eves, Tate McGuire, Dylan Carter, Hunter Dietz, another guy that hadn't got many outings this year, but if it comes to you need another guy, he's another arm that's a talented arm that just doesn't have that many innings under his belt. Like we mentioned, Zach Root's available potentially. Parker Coyle, Colin Fisher, another one that we didn't name earlier. Ben Bybee, McIntyre, Fouch still available. So you've got plenty of arms if you need it. And, clearly we saw today, Dave's not afraid to throw guys over 100 pitches. So like you said, if it's a key clutch moment that you need to win and you need to bring a guy like Gabe Geckel back in, Dave's going to do it. So, but the craziest thing, let's talk about this. Gabe Geckel's shoelaces.
We've got Kevlar coming to.
I know. I was wondering if you heard that on the broadcast today. They were talking about it where, that happened so many times. A Kevlar shoelace. That's just insane. But I mean, if you they showed it clearly, his pitching motion, the way he pitches, that shoe drags, and it's gonna eat up that shoelace as you go through. Time and time again on the mound with the dirt and the rocks, whatever is right there. But yeah, I mean, we've seen
just
it a
the
couple
friction,
times
really.
during the season, but the number of times they had to do it the other night was crazy.
Yeah, and they were saying that it usually happens like you have to do it like once a game, and they were doing it like once an inning. I don't know what they got in the dirt over there in Omaha, but it's just
Well,
not.
I also saw a clip that said that I think it was a clip of Kojo at practice one day and said that and it was him commenting saying that the mound looked higher than normal. So maybe the mound is a little bit different than what we're used to, and so he's getting more contact with that foot than what he does at home compared to who knows what it is, but that was insane. And the commentators had a field day with that, going in depth on shoelaces and things like that.
Yeah. And dude, I don't know why, but I usually don't even get upset about this either, but the whole like showing people's moms and dads like every 5 seconds, I don't know why it's been annoying to me. Mostly it was because of Kate Anderson's mom, and just seeing her so happy that he was doing, kicking our butt. That probably was the reason why I didn't like it all that much. But I'm just like, dude, like, give these people some privacy a little bit,
Yeah. Interesting. That would be surprising to see. So I just saw pop up on my timeline here a clip from Gabe Geckel. Don't know how much truth it is or if it's taken out of context, but it's a clip of saying, "I imagine me and Root will be back tomorrow." That's hard to imagine that.
Yeah.
Root or Geckel will be back tomorrow, a Tuesday, after pitching 80-something pitches on a Saturday on 3 days rest, give or take. I mean, it's not. Hey, in a win or no go home game at all costs, Dave does what he has to do, but
yeah,
that would be surprising.
Anything, maybe a closing him out.
Yeah.
Send me that if you will.
But it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think pitching wise, Arkansas is sitting in a good spot. Now, like we said, if the bats can keep improving, that's what we need. I think you're setting yourself up well. But, fantastic stuff from today from Gage Wood. You got to love it. He was already projected like a number 21, a top 50 over number 21 prospect, top, expected to go in the top 50. After today, I wouldn't be surprised to see his draft stock jump up as well. It was interesting to see the analysts today and commentators talking about how, he was a, what do they call it? An analytics darling, and that he was a little bit undersized for a pitcher and all these things. Yet he's just, cranking 96, 97, 98 on his fastballs, locating his pitches well. On top of making it in the record books and setting some history today, Gage Wood made himself some money today too.
Yeah, and hang on a second. I lost my train of thought again. I'll have to come back to it. But dadgummit.
Well, while you're thinking, I also saw today, it cracked me up. I watched the post game in there. One of the questions was, they were like, "All right, Ryder, Gage, where is the ball after the game? Do you know who has the ball? What happened to the ball? Things like that." They were so focused on that. And Gage wasn't answering the question because I saw the clip about it, the clip before the post game. Gage Wood gave the ball to his dad after the game and was like, "Happy late Father's Day."
That's so cool. I saw, what do you call it? I saw someone say, I think it might have been Josh Teeter. He was like, because he was wearing like a little helmet the entire time because they showed the moms and dads all game long. And someone's like, give that. He said, give that helmet to whoever's father is pitching next to or tomorrow. So
right. Let's get a
but
little stitches here and share the
share
all
that
those
helmet
things.
with everybody. I remember what I was gonna say. We were talking about just the Gage, earning some money here, and I think it was Josh Pate. He was like, just imagine what Gage Wood would be doing to the Atlanta Braves right now. But yeah, no, it's good stuff, dude.
Yeah, and on
Like
top of that, what makes this even more impressive compared to other things, you know, some credit's got to go to Ryder Helford too, because as we know, Arkansas catchers, they call the games. I mean, even Gage said it in the post game. He said, I kept hearing fastball middle in my ear from the pitch comm all day because he said, that's my pitch. That's it was working. So he said, I kept hearing it, and that, props to Ryder for calling the game. That was fantastically called game from him, and it just shows, the maturity there, I think, because, how many college catchers actually have control to call the games compared to, a majority of the time it's probably your pitching coach calling the pitches. So fantastic job by Ryder as well.
Yeah, because they were even talking about it. They were they're like, Ryder, obviously they were talking about how he's calling the pitches, but before they even, really started talking about all that, they're like, man, Helfrich isn't, setting up anywhere else except right there in the middle. And that's where he was the entire game. I don't even think he
didn't have to try to frame anything.
Yeah, no, it was just like right there, all in the middle. And if it did go to the outside, he usually had to, reach out to get it. That's not where he was prepared to go. And it's just a testament to, one, how great that fastball was working, and two, just how good he could throw them off with that curveball every once in a while. Because they kept talking about how that fastball just likes to stay, level, and with him being so, short, that it looks like it's rising, and that's why all the time they were just right underneath that ball all day long. Now, whether or not that'll work against like an LSU or a UCLA, I don't know, but still, just glorious stuff, dude. And then that curveball to throw him off every once in a while. I mean,
yeah, especially because he was landing it too. It's like they kept saying, "Oh, Gage just came with his A+ stuff today." He came with his elite stuff today.
Yeah,
forget A+. He was elite out there today. Fantastic things. It's like
I don't even know if he threw anything else other than those two pitches too. It's just like a fastball and a curveball. I think that was it.
Yeah. Transplant Texas said agreed. We forget Ryder called those pitches, and some stats here by Transplant Texas said 83 of Gage Wood's 119 pitches were strikes. Going into the game, Gage had a 43% whiff count on his fastball, which was top in the country. That was better than Liam Doyle and Cade Anderson that Arkansas faced. And so, he may be undersized, but he's got one heck of a fastball that gets guys to swing and miss. And that's what they talked about. And that's what's going to help make him some money here in a few months when the MLB draft comes along.
And I think if he didn't have that injury at the beginning of this year, I would put a good amount of money that he would be the day one guy ahead of Root. Even though I love Root and I love what he does, but I don't know, dude. Just the last 4 weeks or so, from Gage Wood, he just has the stuff. He was pulled early. Who was it against? Was it against Tennessee?
Yes.
He was pulled early. Yeah, he was pulled early against Tennessee, and I think that Dave Van Horn pulled him earlier than he usually would, because they just needed to win that game. But other than that, he's been just dynamite. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Transplant Texas said, Wood started the game pitching in the high 90s. 97 possibly, and finished the game pitching in the high 90s from 97 to 98. I'm pretty sure his last fastball he threw to strike the guy out was at 98. So it's like he didn't lose any velo at all. And there's adrenaline pumping, everything like that, of course. But still, to have that, not have that drop off through a 9-inning baseball game is insane.
Yeah, the only thing that even kind of started to falter a little bit was his placement on those curveballs.
I was about to say the curve started going a little wide right there at the end. Right. As the announcer said, it got a little wobbly there at the end, but he is able to go back to that fastball and just get the guy swinging and not even catching up to it.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying, also says, let's not forget that Geckel did start the year as the preseason SEC pitcher of the year. So that's a talented guy.
He was day one starter at the beginning of the year, was he not?
Yeah. He was day one. Root was 2. Yeah. And Geckel's a guy that's going to be back next year too. So, you probably see him potentially, Dave trying to get him to be a starter next year too. But it's just crazy how the significant difference for him out of the bullpen is than starting. Like he can come out of the bullpen and he is lights out, fantastic. You get him to start. Something about that first inning, I don't know. I don't know if it's a mental thing that needs to be worked through, like because you start the game, you're setting the tone for the game type of thing. And I don't know if that was a lot of pressure for him or what, but ever since he switched to coming out of the bullpen, it lights out for Geckel. I mean, just what he did the other day, he basically, in all intents and purposes, with how long Root went, he basically pitched a starter type outing.
Yeah. And he's done that a few times after Root, and after Betelgeuse too, if I'm not mistaken. So he's basically a starter that comes in like the second or third inning. Is basically what he is.
Right. It's like
and having a guy.
I was gonna say, if you have a guy that he's got that stamina to start because he has, but it's like, hey, pitch somebody in the first inning, and all right, time to roll out Geckel.
Yeah, it's kind of like those shoes from the pitcher for Murray State today.
Yeah.
Just wear those shoes for the first inning.
Yeah. Which they came back and actually asked the coach about it, and they said that those cleats he wore in the first inning, the white ones, the spikes were worn down so much that he couldn't get any grip, and so he had to switch to his backup shoes.
Yeah, and I don't know where they got the story that he did that every single game from, because I mean that's just kind of wild to begin with. And they went on air with it, so they thought it was legit. But yeah, it's funny stuff.
Trying to come up with talking points, I guess, around something. So,
I mean, you had a guy was throwing a no-hitter. I don't know what else you need to talk about.
Right. But I mean, so still update here. LSU still in rain delay. No updates yet. So we'll see what happens. Maybe let's root for UCLA to pull it off and have to take care of LSU tomorrow night. Another nighttime cap, switching it up from today, which will be great. I don't have to worry about trying to watch it at work. But, fantastic stuff from Gage Wood today. Congratulations to him on, no-hitter, complete game, set the strikeout records at the Men's College World Series and for the program. Like all those accomplishments today on top of, like he said, they're not ready to go home yet.
Yeah.
So
you would think that about a team like this.
Yeah. So Transplant Texan question, he said, is the UCLA LSU still in rain delay? Yes. I'm just saying, says serious question because I've heard this from several people. Why is everyone in such a hurry to play LSU again?
Because I think we can beat. I feel better about beating UCLA twice than I do about LSU twice. That's
exactly. I don't necessarily want to play them again, but I would much rather only have to beat them once compared to having to beat them twice. Just because it seems like Arkansas and LSU, they have our number. There's some weird thing going on. Maybe is it some Cajun voodoo magic that, I don't know. But it's just like I'd rather not have to play them twice and play somebody that we haven't seen all year. Get somebody
Right.
new. It's like you said, I'm tired of these reruns. Let's have a new episode.
Yeah. And I'd really like to not have a rerun of LSU. So let's get a win with that and, be done with them.
Exactly. I mean, other than that, so Arkansas will be back again tomorrow at 6:00 versus either LSU or UCLA. We'll see what time this rain delay finishes up. I've been seeing people say, let this rain delay take as long as possible. So that way, they're playing late into the night. But, I don't necessarily think that'll affect LSU as much because they seem to be used to it.
Yeah. They're used to partying all night. So
exactly. But before we get out of here, I know we talked about it the other day for basketball. We do have some basketball news. So we talked about Elmer Zafik, a.k.a. the Bosnian Bulldozers. He's been coined for Arkansas. Well, the following day, Arkansas added yet again another 7-footer to the roster in Paulo Samito from Angola. He is a 7'1", 220 center that has a 7'5" wingspan out of West Oaks Academy in Orlando, Florida. I've heard that he might redshirt this year, but I mean, you have a roster with 2 7-footers on it. Like, fantastic stuff. I've seen funny things. We just said that Elmer Zafik's being called the Bosnian Bulldozer. Well, they're calling Paulo Samito the African Wimby.
Yeah. It's because that's whenever I saw him the first time, that's kind of what I don't want to say comp was, because there's only one Wimby as we know it right now.
It was like your gut reaction.
Right. He's a very tall, like long dude who can move, basically. Obviously he's like 18, so he's not nearly as developed as what Wimby was, but he's got enough movement to where he can actually be physical. And the thing is, so did Big Z, right? Not nearly as much as I think this dude has, but this guy also seems to be a lot more physical too. I don't know if you've seen that from the few clips that here and there, but he seems like he likes to get in the paint and he likes to play dirty, down there. Not dirty, but get rough and dirty with people in the paint, and he's not super afraid about it. I think it's a very good pickup, and it's kind of I feel like he's coming on a little bit later than a lot of these guys. He's top 50 if you look at ESPN's rankings, but he's not even ranked right now in 247 Sports. So I don't know. It's there's a little bit of mystery, shrouding this dude. So
right, because it feels like these two guys just came out of nowhere. It's like I hadn't seen any type of tidbits. Oh, Arkansas is looking at this potential international guy or this guy. Then all of a sudden, boom, back-to-back days, you get 2 7-footers that are going to be on the roster. Yes, they may be developmental players, especially this guy that, there's talks of him being redshirted. Maybe Elmer Zafik can come in and, contribute down the stretch, maybe not from day one, because, that's what you got Pringle and Ewan for. But if you got another 7-footer that can come there, give those guys a break, you got 5 fouls at the end of the day, and likes to back down and play it with his back to the basket and get some rebounds. Fantastic stuff. But good point here by Transplant Texan. Said Cal is gaining favor with international agents and working that pipeline. Is he potentially laying the groundwork for a big international pickup next spring?
I don't know.
You never know.
I don't know. But to be fair, though, this guy, the Samito, or however you say his last name, he is Angolan, but he's played in Florida for the last couple of years. So he's been over here playing in the States on, some kind of circuit. But he's, for all intents and purposes, he's part of the high school class, if that makes sense. Right, I think the reason why he's so, because I don't want to say this and be completely as fact, but I think he was reclassified. I think that's why he's so like not ranked everywhere else. So let me go back and look. Yeah, he's still not ranked 247. So I think he reclassified, if I'm not mistaken, and that's kind of why he came out of nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, it says he's 19, so
yeah.
But so they talk about with this addition, look at the Razorbacks front court. You got Zafik that's 7 foot, Trevor Brazil that's 6'10, Malik Ewan that's 6'11, Nick Pringle at 6'10. And you also have, your other international player, Kareem Rattel, at 6'8. So, that makes 3 international players on this roster. You had Big Z last year. Cal's starting to dip his toe into the international waters a little bit more than, what we saw him at Kentucky. And, hey, if that's a growth new thing that Cal is doing, fantastic stuff. And how many times have we said too, you look at the NBA right now, look at all the top talent that's international guys.
Yeah.
I mean, why not tap into it for college basketball?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of where it is now. Yeah, they just have a game that's more.
I like to call their game
based
more
on fundamentals.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they're finesse, but they work on the fundamentals more. Because if you look at like the American brand of basketball, they are very like ISO kind of stuff, right? And they just go off the base, the overall talent of the kids that are there playing. And the thing is, the United States probably has better talented kids, like just on a base level. But these guys that come from like, what's his name? Jokic and
Jokic,
dude who played for Jokic and what the heck? The guy who plays for LA now. They aren't like, I don't want to say like they're not talented, because obviously they're playing at the biggest level of basketball, but I can't say that like they're more talented than LeBron James, but I feel like they're just so like clean with their fundamentals, and they do have that finesse part, and it's just they're much more clean cut than what most of the players that the United States turns out. And that's why they're doing so good, is because they can compete with people with talent because they have those fundamentals locked up.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it and it's going to be interesting. I will say this makes me feel much more comfortable about this next year's roster because
Luka, thanks transplant.
Yeah, Luka, and then you can't forget about the Greek Freak either.
Yeah,
and Kumpo. So. No. But now you're looking at next year's roster, you're like, all right, we've got some depth now because Samito makes the 14th guy on the roster. That's much better than 10-9 than what we were working with last year.
I like that we can play these bigs like they're supposed to be played too. Also, I know that it says that Pringle is 6'10", but that dude is tall. Like, I feel like he's taller than Ewan. And he's also just big. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's actually closer to like 6'11", But
it's always fun to see guys listed what they are, and then you see them in person or whatever.
Yeah. So like, what do you call it? Like the first time I got to be on the sidelines for like spring practice or something, anything like that, I was walking by, I think the running backs. And I walked by like Braylon Russell and Jaquindon Jackson and stuff like that. I'm like, there's no way that these dudes are 6'2" and 6'3". Like, they're not that much taller than me. So yeah, it's kind of fun to see that.
Yeah. So, I know it's baseball right now, but we're still getting basketball news. Here in a month or two, as the summer starts getting, we're in June right now, probably mid to late July. As we get ready for football season, we'll start our preview positional breakdowns going into the season. There's a lot unknown. We kind of talked about it. Austin and I jumped on a Texas podcast and kind of they're previewing the season backwards, and so they just started theirs as Arkansas plays Texas late in the season this year, and we were kind of talked about them with some of the unknowns and things like that. So we'll dive into our position, group shows a little bit later in the summer, but I mean, we still got baseball to talk about, and I'm excited, and hopefully time comes Thursday, we're either playing baseball or we're talking about the potential matchup and things like that. Transplant Texan jumped in and said, I'm most pleased that the drop-off has lessened from the starters main bench to the rest of the basketball roster. The other guys are actually playable. And I think that's big too, because now you have very much guys that you can go 7-on-7 with now, instead of having to rely on those kind of quote-unquote grad assistants, guys that come up from overseas that kind of finish their career over there and kind of want to come, to have that relationship with Cal. So it'll, these bigs will actually have bigs to go up against instead of kind of having to beat up on some grad assistants and things like that. So
right. So yeah, it's good stuff.
But yeah, so we'll go ahead and get wrapped up here. Arkansas will be back in action tomorrow at 6 o'clock. We'll find out at some point tonight who they're going to play tomorrow. Like Transplant Texas said, like, subscribe, select all notifications on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it, we're on it. So make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be right back here on Thursday. We'll let you know the time depending on what time Arkansas is going to be playing and things like that, because Arkansas will be playing on Thursday. So with that, we're going to get out of here. Stay tuned. We'll see what happens in this UCLA LSU game. Anything else from you before we get out of here, Austin?
No, man. We're good.
Fantastic stuff. So, like we said, check out the show, like, subscribe, make sure you have that bell clicked for all the notifications. That way you don't miss us anytime we go live. With that, we're going to get out of here. Everybody have a great rest of your week. Cheer on the Hogs, and we'll see you when we see you. For Austin, myself, we're going to get out of here and catch you later.